This is where you can come and clear your doubts. We are waiting, we are pausing, and hopefully, uh, I know that every words that is going to be said here will be a first account witness. Okay, first account witness. So I can't wait. So based on what I've said, begin to prepare your questions. How much you left in the for Anambra State? How much you left in dollars? How much you left in naira? So yeah, let's start preparing our questions.
Okay, the former Honorable Commissioner is here already, and he will come up as a speaker shortly. Okay, sir, if you just want to click on the mic icon at the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, it will bring you up here. Okay, welcome, sir. So,
can you hear me now?
yes, we can hear you, sir.
Okay.
So, hello everyone, and welcome to this space. It's very good to have you all here today. And you all know I've been doing something very, very unconventional when it comes to political spacing. I've been bringing former cabinet members of His Excellency, Mr. Peter Obi, to come speak facts and figures and just talk generally about their experiences working with him. And today is not different. We have a guest with us today, a very important one at that, who worked with him as the Honorable Commissioner of Finance. We have with us today Chief AZHAC. You are very, very welcome, sir.
Thank you, and you're
Yeah.
welcome too.
Yes, sir. So I will pass the mic over to him to introduce himself properly and then give us some opening remarks. But before I do that, I have with me today my two able co-hosts in the person of Magnific Dude and Bishop. Welcome, guys. Good to have you here.
Um, it's good to be here. You know, it's always a privilege co-hosting with you, Pels and Mag. And I hope today we're going to have a fun time. We're going to clear our doubts on finances as pertaining Peter Obi while he was governor in Anambra State for 8 years. So this is an automatic financial background of come and verify for Peter Obi. So we are buzzing, we're ready to listen. We have our questions, and hopefully we'll achieve the aim why we're here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bishop. So now we will hand over the mic to Chief AZHAC to introduce himself properly to us and then give us some opening remarks before we open the floor for questions. So over to you now, sir.
Okay. Thank you for having me and for inviting me to this interesting discussion. Let me ask once again. I guess everybody's hearing me now.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Okay. My name is Honorable Eze HSC. I was the former Honorable Commissioner for Finance, Anambra State, between 2006 and 2012. In the 8 years of the P2B's administration, I was with him as a Commissioner for Finance for 6 years. And somebody else did the remaining 2 years after I'd left. Before then, I was a banker. Worked in various banks, and rose to positions of general manager, transactions, corporate banking, and investment banking. Thereafter, that is after my stint at Anambra State as a commissioner for finance, I've moved on to be with the Ibeto Group as a group executive director in charge of investments and operations. That's where I am now. And prior to then, I had been director in a couple of places. Access Bank, Congo, DRC. I was a director there for 4 years. I was also a director in Access Bank, Gambia, for another 4 years before I retired. I'm married with 5 children. And, well, that's that for now.
Thank you very much, sir. We're happy to. I mean, that was simple and short, and I like the way you put it, letting us know that after you finish serving with Mr. Peter Obi, you went back to your normal job. And we've interviewed about 4 people who has worked with Mr. Peter Obi as commissioners. All the commissioners, 4 of them, including the chief of staff, Professor Stella. And everyone, I noticed everyone went back to what he or she was doing before Peter Obi called them to work. They were not professional politicians, but they were professional in their field, prolific waymakers and record breakers in their field. And we really appreciate you for being here today. So we're going to open the mic now and give the mic to the audience to ask their questions. But before we do that, some certain in-house ground rules. 3 minutes for your questions, or let me say 2 minutes for your questions, because we already have a lot of people requesting the mic. 2 minutes for your questions, and you have to ask only 2 questions. You can't go above 2 questions. Okay. And another ground rule, please try to share the space. All right. When you share the space, this is a very important space. You have other people come here and listen. So here, share the space, write down your questions. If you have forgotten, like I said, or if you are mic shy, you can use the hashtag Pearl Spaces. Ask your question there. Sometimes we go there and we pick the questions to ask Chief Aze. So please, guys, get your questions ready. So right about now, by raise of hands, and by the way, another rule, if you want to speak, you have to raise up your hands. I want to acknowledge the presence of Akin Olaoye. Thank you, sir, for being here. Deeply, deeply appreciated. So please also follow Pels, follow Chief Aze, and follow Magnific Dude. If you like, follow myself. This is my backup account. My real account will be up very soon. I took it to the hospital, by the way. Okay, so let's get rolling. By raise of hand, I have Big Bility. Big Bility, what's up, my brother? How you doing?
Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry, Bishop, sorry, Vic
Okay.
Billy. Before you go ahead, welcome again, Sir Akin Olaoye. Very good to have you here. It's always a pleasure having you in our spaces. Before we pass the mic to people to ask questions, I think Magnific has something to say. You want to go? You want to say that real quick before we pass the mic around?
Hi, everybody. Thank you, my host. Thank you, co-host Bishop, and thank you so much, Honorable Commissioner, for taking the time out to come spend time with us here today. We're in a session with you, sir, and we hope we're all going to get more than enough information so we can be able to go out there and continue to propagate our principle in good light and debunk some of those fake rumors and have good knowledge about what to say when we're talking about finances and how he governed Anambra State during his tenure. Thank you so very much, sir, once again. Guys, please, I want us to push these numbers to about 500 right now because we need to share this space, man. We need all those naysayers to be here. Please, guys, share it on your timeline, share it among your contacts. I want all those Agbado boys and everybody to come and listen and learn what good governance is all about. Come on, man, guys, please, let's share this. Let's share it. If I have my way, I would not start asking questions until I see those numbers up. I want them to know that we're not joking. We're here for serious business, man. So please share, share, share. And thank you once again, Ms. Wells. Thank you, sir, for giving us this privilege. We really appreciate you. You go for it.
Okay, thank you very much, guys. And I just want to introduce a new feature that Twitter has just given to us. It is the scissors button, so you can just cut snippet of words Chief Eze is going to say. You can just take a snippet of that what he's saying, and then you can post it. So make good use of that feature. Let people know what Peter Obi has done in the states, the questions, the answer, and let's get rolling. So Big you have the mic now. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Bishop. Always in the God's work. You alongside Pearls and Magnificent. Always wonderful to be here amongst you brethren of believers of good governance, advocate of good governance. Always a pleasure to be here. Honorable Commissioner for Finance, I greet you fundamentally. My
Thank
brother
you.
from Anambra State. Yeah, it's
Thank
a
you.
pleasure to have you here.
Yeah.
First of all, there has been a lot of speculations, a lot of allegations against our principal. We are obedient, and we don't on this space. We don't follow anybody sheepishly. We always want to get everything, every fact right, so that because we claim to be clamoring for good governance, transparency. So we like to get everything straight up. So many people have been accusing His Excellency Peter Obi of investing Anambra State money in his private, his family business. I want to know if you have any clue about this stuff so that you clarify us on it so that when next we are arguing with people, we see what to tell them. Then if it is true, you let us know and let us know why he did that. If it is not true, you tell us and then you let us also know. So I want to also ask a personal question because you said something here during your introduction. You said you did only 6 years with His Excellency. I want to know whether you guys fell out or you just decided to go on your own. Thank you.
No, we didn't fall out. There was for the entire period, our principal, P2B, he prefers to be called Mr. P2B. We didn't fall out with him. It was a restructure. It was a review of this thing, and some people had to come in and some people had to drop out. Practically, almost everybody that worked with him went, except a few. Okay. So there was no question of having to quarrel. There's no question of falling out with anybody. No. So it was a normal course of um, cabinet review. And that's exactly why most of us are still with him, in spite of the fact that, I mean, somebody who had 8-year tenure and I spent 6 years with him, what else am I looking for? It's okay. I'm grateful to him for making me a commissioner, where I had the opportunity of excelling myself, as a commissioner for finance in Nigeria. And during this period also, I was the chairman of Commissioners of Finance of Nigeria, the Association of Commissioners of Finance of Nigeria.
Okay, thank you, sir. Vicbility, did you ask one question or two questions?
No, I asked two questions about
Okay.
the issue of
Yeah, he
investing in
said he
his
was
family.
going. Yeah, he said he was going to ask a personal question, which I've just answered. Now, coming to the second question, rather the first one, which you asked, had to do with whether P2B invested the state's money in his family business or in his personal business. I believe that was your question.
Yeah.
It's surprising when people say that kind of thing because I don't know how to begin to address this kind of issue. To the best of my knowledge, there is nothing like that. There is nothing like that. P2B ran Anambra State government professionally. Everybody was mandated to account for what you do in your ministry. I was part and parcel of the people who worked on the investment of Anambra State in a company like Interfact Beverages Limited, that is the brewery, where a lot of people claim that he invested. Anambra State invested. A number of Anambra people also invested in the company. And his company may have also invested in the company. But I don't know about using Anambra State money for the purposes of his family business.
Okay, thank you very much, sir,
Yeah.
for clarifying that. And I think you guys heard it. This was the person in charge of Anambra State finances, and he has come here to tell us that it is a ridiculous accusation saying that Peter will be invested government money into family business. I mean, I don't know how many people believe that, but I didn't. Thank you very much. By raise of hand now, let's go with Munachi. Munachi, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing very, very well. And thank you so much, Pals, for always.
Munachi, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm talking. Can you hear me?
Ask your questions, Munachi. We can hear you.
All right. Thank you so much. And we hope more of your colleagues join us in this space so that we can clear so many allegations and so many propagandas. Thank you once again. And my project from the time His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi take over Anambra State, I understand very well that there are so many backload of outstanding payments on ground, like pensioners being owed, I think, over 30 months' salaries and a lot of it. And by the time His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi left office, we understand that all those money were being paid in full and he wasn't owing anybody. So my question is this: how was he able, as being it that this is a department you headed under him, how was he able to generate those money to be able to offset those outstanding bills and be able to do the things he did, like road construction and the other infrastructures he put in place, and also be able to save the amount of money that he said he saved? And also, what was being it that during his time, I think none of the state assembly members were from his party. Most of them came from PDP. How the passing of bills and the getting approval from the state assembly, how was it like? You understand? Because these are some of the issues people are raising now, that it will be very, very difficult, even if he wins election today, because he may not have the majority in the legislative arms of government. It will be almost impossible for him to function. How was he able to function, considering all those things? Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I must tell you that it depends on the individual we're talking about. It was a tough game, quite all right. If you don't have members of your political party in the State House of Assembly, it's a tough game, quite all right, to get them to approve most of the things you're doing. And perhaps that was the reason why he was easily impeached when he began the process of good governance in Anambra State. It's like, is this what we're going to see with this man? This man won't allow us to, enjoy the dividends of being in government. He didn't say you're not going to enjoy the dividends of being in government, but that things must be done properly. Things must be managed prudently. And we follow the normal course of presenting a budget to the State House of Assembly. And of course, the various things that take place, interviews, discussions, meetings with various ministries, departments, and agencies of government. And at the end of the day, everything is agreed upon. and the budget will be passed. Somehow, being able to raise the money to be able
What's going on? Is it just me, or did we lose him there?
No, you're not
we
alone.
have,
He's back.
yes, I have interruptions from calls coming in and I have to stop them. So when these interruptions come up, you will understand. Okay, you were interested in how he managed to raise the money to do all the things he did. That was where I was. It is very simple because as an individual, which he was, sources of revenue for a state, Canambra, was that of from the federation account, number one, and then two, internally generated revenue. Pull the two of them together and then ensure that things are done properly. And for a construction of a road that will take 80 million naira to, and somebody wants to do it for 1 billion, it is not in the era of P2B. The state tenders board had very big responsibility to ensure that review of contracts, are done in such a way that we shredded to the bones. We shredded to the bones. P2B was not interested in what will come to him as an individual. He was interested in what he will achieve with the little resources the state government was getting from both the federation account and from internally generated revenue. That was just it. So if you prudently manage the resources available to you, you will be able to do the things you want to do and also be able to save what you want to save. He is somebody who believes in savings as a guarantee and protection of the state for the future. But a number of other people may not believe that, but he believed it and he acted it out. I get amazed and I find it ridiculous when people say that he did not leave the money he left in the coffers of the state government when he finished his service to Anambra State. It's funny. The reason it's funny is that the records are there. These things have been put in the public domain with the banks where they are, the account numbers of those accounts, both for the Naira deposits and the foreign exchange. So he did not say it was cash all the way. In both cash and investments, 75 billion. What I'll not be able to do to you now is to give you the breakdown of it. I know that the foreign exchange aspect of it, through bonds and other investments, may have been approximately in the region of $150 million. About that, I will not be very specific because I don't have the documents here, and it's 10 years already since I left the administration, so I may not have all the figures readily in my head here. But for sure, that amount was left in the coffers of the state. Never seen before in the history of any state in this country called Nigeria.
Thank you very much, sir. I tend to
So
come in. Okay.
I think I've given an answer to the question which the last person asked.
Yes, you have properly given an answer, sir, and it is very, very, very clear.
Are we there?
It's- yes, we can hear you, sir. Can you hear us? Hello, can you hear me, sir? Hello. Okay, can anyone hear me?
Yes,
Yeah,
we can.
Bishop, I can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I think it
Are
is
we there?
it's yes, sir. Oh, I think we have a network issue on Chief
Um,
Aze's end.
you know what I think it is? When he gets a call like that, it automatically needs
Yes.
the
Pels,
speaker, or sometimes it takes him
Are
out
we
of.
there?
yes,
Yeah,
Pels,
it
can you
needs
reach
to.
him and let him know that we can hear him? He should just leave and come back.
Yeah,
Okay.
it should go out and come back, or um,
Yeah,
close Twitter, and then when I
open it
say
again.
close, minimize it, and then open it back. But don't close or don't go out. Just minimize Twitter and
He's
then open
talking.
it back
He's
up.
talking. He's talking.
Are we there?
He,
Yeah. Yes, we are here, sir.
okay, this you guys should just hold on so we don't have around this session. Let's Pels communicate with Chief Aze so he can fix that. I think he has to go and return. Thank you guys for always being here. Bros Akin, how are you doing? Hope you're good. We're gonna take Akin
Are we
after
there?
this. Oh my god. We are. Why? This bats people. Y'all refuse to fix our network for us and see what's happening. Man, when I not try you, but I mean we're coming for all of you. No problems. Oh man. Okay, I think we will wait. We will wait for him to, get his network together and then um we can have a proper discussion. But I think the last answer he gave is visible to the blind and audible to the deaf. That whatever they are coming for Peter Obi is dead on arrival. They're so dead on arrival. This cheap propaganda. I mean, for the very first time in Nigeria, we're having an issue based election, an issue based campaign. Gone are the days where y'all go sit down with people who roast coin and people who make hair, and you don't even know the amount those coins sells for. You don't know the process of even starting up that business. You go to sit down in saloons and start making hair. You don't know how much it is to set up a salon in Nigeria, but you go sit there and take pictures of paparazzis. But we got you all this time. We are coming for you, and we will get all of you. Don't worry. Peter Obi will be president. He will be, and when he is, welcome back, sir. Can you hear us now? Hello, sir. Okay,
Yeah, Bishop, let me say this real quick.
go ahead,
Guys,
sir.
if you're up here and you've asked a question, you've spoken, please, we're gonna have to drop you so we can bring more people up here as soon as possible. So please, be informed. Once you're done asking your question and you've given your submission, we'll drop you, or you can just go down so we can bring other people. We have quite a number of people that are really, so don't feel like we're not giving you the chance to. All right, thank you.
Okay, I think we have him back now. His network has been fixed. Okay, yeah, he's back up here. So, guys, you can go ahead now.
Bishop, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. All right, thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
Welcome. Well, welcome, sir. Welcome to the space. Welcome back, sir. Okay, let's take Akin Ola Oye. Bros Akin, welcome. You have the mic.
All right, thanks, Pearl. Thanks, Bishop. Thanks, Magnific. Chief, welcome. Glad to have you here in our midst. I think it's great that you're here, but some would feel like it's taking longer than expected. I think for many of us, as we go out every day, spreading the message of the candidate, talking about the great works, obviously, his track record is one that is stellar for many of us that are outsiders. In politics, I think we finally found someone we can line up behind that will not embarrass us, because what you find in the political space is a situation where, yes, a lot of people want to be involved, but then cannot really stand tall and beat their chest and say, this person will not embarrass me. And I think, it's only fair that, people that have worked with the man Peter Obi again saw him rise up, to many of the challenges, suffering impeachment, going to court, doing things the right way, not bribing judges, not staging protests, not even, what we will see in many states where there's a lot of violence, political assassination and all of that. The man just shows you that he is someone that is redefining what it means to be a politician in Nigeria. Yes, people will stand up and say, oh, politics is not for saints. Politics should equally be for saints. There's no reason why I can't be a reverend father or a retired school principal or perhaps someone that has done volunteer work all my life and say, you know what, I want to go into government and make a change. I think we see that with a candidate. So the question I want to, pose to you, and equally what I'm hoping would come from many people like you and others that served with him, is this, ability to be available to speak more to his records. The first question is on the handover notes. You see a lot of WhatsApp groups, a lot of opposition voices take the documents and say, "Oh, it was not signed here, it was not signed there. It's just a paper. Where's the bank balance sheet printed from the bank where the money was, kept to go along with the handover notes? Why was that not being shown to the public? If they truly want to write this line that, oh, they preserved 75 billion and couple $1,000. Question for you, sir. Are there things we can do beyond saying the handover notes that we've seen are sufficient? Or are there records available that you can make available to us as we take on this dirty fight with the opposition figures? Question for you, sir.
Okay. Can you hear me there?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. It is difficult to say I'll make records available to you. I mean, by going to the bank to print out bank statements and bank balances, because it is in the public domain. This thing had been published in the public domain, citing the bank's account numbers, and I'm sure that the bank will be duly obliged to let you have the information. It's all there. It's clear. So I don't know what other records people expect to have. The handover note was properly signed, and was the ceremony for handover was also duly attended by a lot of dignitaries in the country, including them, Okonjo-Iweala, some people like Dangote. They were all there at the Women Development Center where he did the formal handover and account of his stewardship. It was written.
Okay, so
And
and I appreciate your feedback. So the question for me is, I want to know that I have at my disposal as much ammunition needed to respond to the critics. So
yes.
And just a follow-up question, and I think you've answered the question beautifully. Follow-up question is, a lot of these opposition voices cannot provide what they are asking for, but they are making demands from the Peter Obi camp. So, I'm only asking because if there are things we can do to go one step further, with even embarrassing these people further, that's what I really hope to achieve. But, if what we have is sufficient, then I'll rest there and say, okay, perhaps we shouldn't even feed this ugly monster more than, they've been fed fat. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, what I can assure you is that this information is in the custody of a lot of people in this country, because it was published several times when people started criticizing that information to the effect that he left this amount in the coffers of the state government. So that information was published many times with the bank names, the account numbers, and the banks that even did the foreign denominated, dollar denominated investment for the state government. They were all there. Okay, so these are information that could be made available subsequently, and if people desire to see it, and then we agree where to, to put this information across.
Thank you, sir. Perez, if you don't mind, I'll just do a follow-up question. So my second question, and I know there are others on stage waiting, when you look at fiscal responsibility as a state official, and there's equally this, let me call it miseducation, that a lot of Nigerians, both old and young, walk around thinking that when politicians, perhaps pay school fees or pay for jam or maybe buy computers with state government money, that it is their private money they are using. You will never see a Peter Obi again and his administration run off and say, oh, well, Peter bought and make people believe. Rather, he will say, my state government, my administration. And I say this because when you look at how you handled the accounting, the books, transparency, equally, the budget process. When you look at some of the challenges, and I'm not even doing this to criticize anyone within the civil service, would you say there was a very, very big issue with the administration initially when he chose to take his route of fiscal responsibility, accountability, transparency, that maybe again ultimately resulted in impeachment? But for some of you in the cabinet, what were challenges you went through, things you did to fight back with saying the mandate of Peter Obi, with making sure that he was prudent with finances, he was honest as a politician, as a government elected official, were things you all wanted to live up to? Because again, people need to hear some of these things to make it understandable that it was not an easy journey for all of you. Can you speak more to that, sir?
Yeah, if you listen to Peter Obi in his various speeches and addresses to various people, associations, and audience, he will tell you why he was impeached in the first instance. For insisting that something that was going to cost 80 million naira to spend over 400 million naira for an item of work that is going to cost 80 million naira, for example. So the question becomes, it is not business as usual with Peter Obi's government. We faced all these challenges because you have to understand the fact that here is a man who has come to save the state and take it forward beyond what others are doing. Now, there is nothing that is happening in the state government, in the accounts of the state government, that is hidden. That's one thing you must know. There is nothing you are doing that is hidden. During our time, part of the challenges we faced, as a commissioner for finance, I went to EFCC 27 times to answer to criticisms, petitions, a lot of unfounded petitions to EFCC. EFCC will, of course, write me because Peter Obi has immunity. He won't go and answer anybody. Then I will go. We had that this road that was supposed to be constructed with 200 million, that you people spent 2 billion naira doing it. How can you account for it? I said, okay, no problem. I'm coming back. I'll go and come back with a file stating exactly how that contract was reviewed by the State Tenders Board, what was spent, monies that were issued, checks that were issued, and everything. By the time you finish it, EFCC will say, oh boy, go home. We've seen. And that was why, since Peter Obi left Anambra State as a governor, nobody has called him to come and answer to any missing money in Anambra State. And Anambra State has never said so and so funds were missing. As a commissioner for finance, who stayed 6 years during the turbulent period of Peter Obi in administration, nobody has invited me to come and answer to any question concerning the finances of Anambra State. And nobody, to the best of my knowledge, has also called the Accountant General of the state, the first one I worked with, the second one I worked with, and then the third one that rounded up with him. Nobody has called him to come and answer to the finances of the state, because everything was properly done, accounts were properly kept, retirements of expenditures were properly made, and we followed strictly the policies of the tenders. If you are going to be awarded a contract for a road and you tender, amongst other tenders, the State Tenders Board reviews them. At the end of the day, it is awarded to. If it is 20% mobilization you will be given, 25% mobilization. And at the end of the day, you will be paid based on certificates generated in the course of the work. It was not very sweet to some people at the time these things were happening. But at the end of the day, I think people beat their chest and said, yeah, we had it right. And P2B was able to build almost 1,000 kilometers of road in the period of 8 years, built hospitals, teaching hospital, state secretariats that we had only one. And by the time we finished, we had almost 4 different large buildings as state secretariat. So let me not go into some of those things because there's too many of them to talk about.
No, of course, and I like how in depth you've gone. So one follow-up question: were there any projects in Anambra that were paid upfront 100% that were not executed by the contractors? Obviously, it's a country where people may break the law. If there were ever situations like that, was there follow-up with prosecution, investigation, or did you have a near 100% record where all contracts paid for were fully, duly executed, signed off?
Yeah, not to the best of my knowledge, that in the course of P2B's administration, let me say our administration, that somebody was paid fully, 100% for a job not executed. It's never done. It's never done and cannot happen under P2B's administration.
Thank you. Pearls, Magnific, back to you. I think I'll fall back so someone else can ask questions.
Okay, thank you so very much, Sir Akin Olaoye, for those very intellectual questions. And please, if you can hang around with us here on stage, we will appreciate that, so you can engage Chief HAC as we go along. So by the raise of hands, I will pass the mic over now to Aboki Nagari for his question. After Aboki, we're going to have Dr. Oluwasheyi. After him, we will have Ife Nyaka. So over to you, Aboki Nagari.
Hello, everyone. Good evening to you all. Thank you very much, Pels. I'm sorry. Mine is not a question, actually. I'm very happy for being here with Chief HAC. I have tweeted 2 days ago that I'm the chairman of Northern Assembly, and we are currently on a program here in Kanu that we are airing it on Aria Radio 93.1. The name of the program is Stadium Muntira. So we are looking for maybe a former commissioner or a personal assistant or an advisor to speak to us on the program. His personal and public experience with His Excellency, Mr. Peter Obi. So someone recommended Chief HAC. He said Chief is very conversant in Hausa language. So he's very good in Hausa. So I don't know if it is true. So please, I humbly request if it is true, we can have an audience with you, sir, for maybe a couple of minutes to give us some, many things about Peter Obi in Hausa, that we are going to air it in Kanu in our second episode on Saturday. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay. I was actually born and brought up in Kanu. I did. We lived in Samongeri, Freetown Street, and I did my primary school, just my primary school in Kano. But that was in St. Thomas Primary School, Catholic School, Kano. But I never had the opportunity of learning how to speak Hausa because I left immediately after my primary school back to Onitsha, Christ the King College, to do my secondary education. And then I now went to Ife, University of Ife, now called Abofemi Awolowo University, for my university education, and finally to University of Lagos for my master's degree. So I actually learned some Hausa when I come on holiday because my parents, every member of my family, were living in Kano at that time. But so much to hear some of the things being said, but not being able to speak the language. So I may not be able to communicate and tell you things that you want to know in Hausa, really. I'm so very sorry about that, but that's just what it is. I can clear.
Did we lose him?
Yeah, I think we did.
Oh, it's speaking, but we just can't hear it.
Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we
Yes,
can.
sir.
Please go ahead, sir. Sir, are you there? Oh dear, I think we lost him. But he's gonna come back. I believe that he's gonna come back. Bishop, please look out for him if you can see him before me. Do well to bring.
Okay,
Okay, he's back.
I will. Is he back?
Yeah, he's back. He's back. I just invited him back up here. He's still here as a listener. Okay, sir, do well to click your mic again to come back up here like you did before.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir, loud and
Okay.
clear. Please go ahead,
Okay.
sir.
I don't know whether the answer I gave to the question of the person who wanted to know whether I could engage an audience in Hausa language, whether he had me.
Abokinagari, okay, he's no longer here on stage. I guess he did. I guess he did. And Aboki, if you're still here and you think Chief hasn't answered your question, do well to request the mic and come back up here. Thank you very much, sir. So over to you now, Dr. Oluwaseyi. After you, we will have Ifeanyaka. Over to you, Oluwaseyi.
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity, and thank you very much, sir. My question is just a way of making some clarifications and all this rumor being spread around by the oppositions. I'm a medical doctor by profession, and I was told, even though I was not aware, that there was a time the medical doctors were on strike for 13 months. And then, even though the strike actually preceded the administration of Obi, then entered into his administration, I just want to have an idea on how you were able to solve the strike, what modality was put in place, and then what were the agitation like. That's one. So the second one is that I also know that Anambra State University currently are not on strike, probably being to the some implementation done by the administration of Peter Obi, which is very, very monumental. I just want to know what kind of features, what modality or the foundation that was laid by him, because This is a very, very important thing that we need to talk about in concerning the what we are facing now in terms of funding related to ASU. So I just want to know what are the things that was done during the administration in terms of the financing the university that makes the university up to today among the few universities in Nigeria that is not on strike. Thank you very much.
Mm. Okay, you spoke about doctors being on strike, which actually preceded his administration. I may not be able to remember exactly what was done, but the Commissioner for Health may be in a better position to remember exactly what happened and how we were able to sort that out. But I can tell you that our strategy was the fact that we don't owe any association, any professional, anybody, any professional body. Okay, and the moment any issue of misunderstanding begins to crop up, the administration has a strategy of engaging such associations, such bodies, and dealing with the matter very dispassionately so that it doesn't fester. In the case of Anambra State University, okay, you laid the first foundation, and it goes on with it. A situation where a state-owned institution is left to exist without appropriate financial support from the state government. What do you expect to happen in that kind of institution? Where you have lecturers begin to go on strike, students begin to complain, begin to run down the whole place because toilets are not working, pipe-borne water is not running. And so this is one thing the administration ensured that must never happen. So from day one, the support for the institutions, that's not the only institution the Anambra State government owns, but their subvention was agreed upon and was made available to them timely and promptly. That way, with their own internally generated revenue, they were able to run the institutions, you know, professionally and peacefully. That was why you hardly hear of such strikes taking place in such institutions, such as Anambra State University. And in this ASU strike, there are some of these universities, some state universities that are not members of ASU. I don't know if all federal universities are members of ASU, but it's a little while that I left, so I wouldn't remember whether at some point they joined ASU or and they still remain members of ASU. But if they are on and they are in session, it means they are not members of ASU, and not out of um, spite for ASU, but because of the foundation that was laid and the institution learned ab initio how to take care of themselves. And that's why the institutions have been operating without much problems.
Okay.
Thank you
Can I
very
just
much,
ask,
sir.
can I ask the last
Thank you
question,
very
please?
much, sir. Really
Just,
grateful. Okay,
just
we're
one
gonna
question.
take now. Hello.
Sorry, hold
Just
on.
one,
Dr. Oluwaseyi, are you okay with
just one
some?
more question. Just last question. Last question is, how were you selected for the Commissioner of Finance? How did you get your appointment from Peter Obi? Thank you very much. That's all.
Okay. Um, before I became a commissioner, P2B and I attended the same school, Christ the King College, Onitsha. It was a great institution that produced the likes of Peter Odili, Peter Obi, Willie Obiano, and so on and so forth. Chief Justice Alagwa, the great men of this country, most of them attended this institution called Christ the King College. So I was there. I was a senior, and I was the senior prefect of the school when he was there too. So in the world of finance, we've been relating. We're actually friends. And when he eventually became the governor, He knew what he wanted. He knew what he wanted. The foundation of the school where we came from was founded on the basis of Bonitas Disciplina Scientia, and that means goodness, discipline, and knowledge. So having been in the banking institution, having followed my career, he felt that this person may be able to handle his finances. And he nominated me as a commissioner. And that was all he did. The next thing is for the House of Assembly to interview and discuss with all nominees for commissioners and perhaps special advisors, and then select from there those they find worthy to become commissioners. That was how I was selected.
Thank you very much, sir. See, sorry for the background noise. I'm passing a
Yeah.
place. I'm just walking through a place where you have a church. So, thank you, Dr. Oluwaseyi. Let's take Ife Diaka. Ife Diaka, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Good evening,
Okay, please
everyone.
go ahead. You have 2 minutes to ask your question.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Bishop. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mr. Eze. Okay, so my questions are as follows. One, as someone who was part of P2B's administration,
Yes.
what would you classify as his top 3 achievements? That's one. Second question is, can you maybe elaborate more, like sort of expatiate on that particular investment P2B administration did in Interfact? Yeah, I think, yeah, that's the 2 questions for now. Thank you.
You want me to expatiate more? Maybe I should start with Interfact.
Yes, please.
Okay. As a commissioner for finance, I was one of the people that worked on that investment. Myself, the commissioner for lands then, and then the commissioner at the attorney general of this and commissioner for justice of the state. It was a rigorous discussion engaging the owners of the breweries in South Africa, here in Nigeria, in series of meetings to determine the modalities, for which Anambra State is going to bring this company to Nigeria, to Anambra State in particular, and what conditions and what Anambra State will be able to invest. Well, of course, principally for the purpose of ensuring that we have significant development, employment opportunities, which the company had to grant. I'm not aware of any other process that took place in that. And some stakeholders in Anambra State were also invited to invest, to spread out the investment to ensure that the company is well and properly managed. I don't know what else you want to know about Interfact, because I don't have the specific percentages of that investment now. Is almost many years ago since this happened. If I go back to the files in the state, we'll probably see the specific information and shareholding of all the shareholders of that company. I think Interfact is a holding company for that brewery in Nigeria.
Okay.
That's number one. Then the other one you asked are the specific achievements of P2B. I think you say I should mention about 3.
Top 3. Yeah, top 3
Top
for
3.
you. One who was in the government.
Yeah, sometimes it's difficult to mention what constitutes the top 3 or even top 5 of P2B's administration, because this administration was founded under this ANIT, this concept we call ANIT, we started it in the P2B's administration. It was called Anambra Integrated Development Strategy. It is a concept that enables the state to focus on various sectors simultaneously. So it is not a question of, he just worked on health and just focused on it, every other thing can go to hell. No. The focus was on virtually all sectors of the economy simultaneously at the same time. The kind of attention that was given to health sector, was given to education sector, was given to infrastructure, was given to environment, especially trying to counter the erosion menace in Anambra State. Because Anambra State happens to be one of the states in this country that has the greatest erosion menace in Nigeria. So I don't even know how to start saying that, because we did quite a lot in the health sector. He has said that, he has given examples of what was done in terms of School of Nursing, teaching hospital we built from scratch to it's becoming functional today, and so on. Then education sector. I don't even need to begin to repeat what he did in the education sector, because he was the one that boldly confronted something that many other people before him couldn't do. That was returning these schools to the missions, to their original owners, and funded them directly without actually having to go through the various ministries to avoid delays and what have you. At the end of the day, I'm sure you've heard from him what Anambra State has become education-wise, health-wise, and infrastructure-wise. Because today, we happen to be the state with the best network of roads in Nigeria. Okay? And the rest is for you to see.
All right, thank you. So let me just quickly round off with this.
No,
Yeah.
no, you don't do you. You don't do you. We have other people trying to speak, and we're just going to take another person now. Thank you very much. I mean, you've been so helpful. Your questions are really technical, and we've learned a lot from your questions. Let's take Otumba. Otumba, how far now, my guy?
Hey, thank you so much, Charles Bishop, my native dude. Thank you so much.
Otumba, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me? Hello?
Okay,
Yeah,
I
go
think
ahead, Otumba. We can hear you. We can hear you,
so,
Otumba. Go ahead.
okay, thank you so much.
I
Thank you so
cannot
much.
hear him more.
They can hear me. Sorry, you can. Honorable Commissioner, thank you so much. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes,
Otumba, are
I
you
can
there?
hear you. I can
Yeah, I'm
hear you.
here. Bishop, Mr. Jack. Oh yeah, so thank you so much. So sir, I was first time I was reading through your. Thank you so much for honoring us with this invitation. I was reading through your profile and I saw where you were best graduating student, MBA, University of Lagos, best graduating student, Nigerian stock broken, Nigerian stock exam, and so this gave me joy, because I know folks want to say, oh well, you were just a friendship with all. No, you were more than that. You were a very smart, astute business person, banker, graduated with honors multiple times. So I think my question is more of it's not necessarily what you did in Anambra, because I think you've touched on that a lot. It's more concerning the tools around government, because I think one of the things the opposition usually brings up is, oh, people will be invested.
Sorry, am I the only one that can't hear anything? Or
Yeah,
sorry.
I think it's you, Bishop.
Maybe you have to drop and come back.
Bishop, can you hear me? All right. I would back channel him. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So my question, because there's something that the opposition has thrown this mud about how Peter Obi invested state funds in family business, which I don't buy that because it's explained. But my question is more from your experience as a commissioner of finance. What oversight function does the House of Assembly have when it comes to investment dealings? Because the reason why I ask that question is, the legislative arm is supposed to provide check and balancing, and they approve any penny of the government funds that gets spent. So if something like that was to take place, it would have gone under. I don't think the legislative arm would have not noticed, or they would have raised red flags. So What's the function or the oversight functions of the legislative arm when it comes to government spending, budget and things like that?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. These questions keep popping up about investing state money in family business. I don't even know how to begin to answer that kind of question because it's
Yeah, which
ridiculous.
is why I didn't ask.
You know.
Mine was more where I know the legislative. I know
Yes,
personally.
I want to come to that.
Okay.
Whether the legislature had oversight functions. There is no way you can function without the legislature having oversight function. There is no way. Because it starts with the budget. It starts with the budget. So everything has to, has to be in accordance with the budget, the appropriation, which has been fully complied with. So it is not easy for somebody to go and take money from the state coffers and go and put it in somewhere, family business, nobody will know. Of course, you can be sure that if any such thing had happened, even if it's just 10 million naira, he went into the state coffers and took away and went and put into family business. How bad? Everybody will know that now. You don't operate alone. Do you know the processes, expenditure go before they come out and money is eventually disbursed? To talk of somebody going to the state account to remove money and go and put in family business. That's why I say it is ridiculous when people raise this kind of questions. Peter Obi was a comfortable man before he came into government. I remember when Peter Obi wanted to run for governorship, and I asked him, how are you going to raise this money? I know what he said. I know what he did. Okay. He's a very comfortable person financially, and he's been in business right from, I can tell you, right from the teenage age. So before he talked about going into politics, Peter Obi was a made man. He was the chairman of, the youngest chairman of a bank, Fidelity Bank. And if he wants to do any kind of business, he knows how to fund it, how to prepare for it and do it. So coming into government and abandon his personal business and family business, there are people. He has siblings. Those people who could take over from him to handle their family business while he was in government. So I don't know if anybody should be raising that question. And if anybody thinks he took money from the state and put in family business, show us how and documents to prove that kind of thing. Because for me, as a commissioner for finance, there's no such thing. And P2B will work with you in such a way that no commissioner in the state will have the opportunity, even if you have that tendency, to touch state funds. And that was why all of us, or some of us, or many of us that graduated from commissionership in Anambra State under P2B went back to our various professions. Because P2B will tell you that politics is not a profession. Somebody says, who are you? I say, I'm a politician. What's that? He doesn't believe in that. You should have handwork. There is something you are doing that you could be called upon to come and contribute in the development of the state. And after that, you go back to whatever you are doing. If you want to practice politics, you are free to do that if you choose to, like some people did, but not to start doing it while you are in under his administration, thinking of touching state funds for anything. In any case, it is not easy. It is not that easy to touch state funds. And I can tell you, the only way commissioners or anybody else for that matter can touch state funds anyway is when the chief executive finds himself or herself also touching state funds. But when he's not prepared to touch it, why will you touch it? Nobody will encourage you to do that. Even the system will not encourage you to touch state funds. So that was why we're able to save a lot of money. We're able to achieve so many things, and we're able to keep that kind of money people are finding difficult to believe that could be kept in the coffers of a state government after this thing.
Thank you very much, sir. Otumba, I want to wish you a happy birthday. I want to wish you a happy birthday. Your birthday was, I think, 2 days ago or yesterday. No, 2 days ago. So happy birthday in Arias, and God bless your new age. Okay, thank you very much. So let's move on and let us have
I'm sorry,
Yanyo.
Bishop. Bishop, can I just come in a little bit here before you go ahead? Before you go ahead, Bishop, we have with us listening today Professor Stella Chinyere Okuna, former two-time commissioner under His Excellency, Mr. Peter Obi, and also Chief of Staff. She started all this. She was the first person we had here with us as a guest. Ma, we are very, very happy to have you here with us today. And if you have time, please do well to come up on stage to even just say hello to us. Thank you so very much for coming to join us on this space today. We really appreciate your presence, Ma. You opened the door for all these wonderful things happening on our spaces. We really appreciate and love you, Ma. Thank you so very much. And Bishop, you can go ahead.
Mama in the building. Go ahead to do what again now? Mama in the building. Hey, who the freak? Who the where the day? Oh, shit. Okay, let's move ahead. I'm sorry, I get overexcited when Mama comes around. When you have a mother, you can't be murdered. And with a father like that, you go father. Yes, God bless you. Who they go check out? Chai, oh, Peter will be the boss my brain like this. All right, back to your normal soul, Bishop. All right, let's take Yanyo. Yanyo, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mr. Mr. Eze. I
Yeah,
have
good evening.
just two direct questions here. My first question is, in Peter Obi's first 4 years in office, how was he able to, and the whole administration, you as the Commissioner of Finance, how were you able to tackle the debt um, you met on ground? Because from my own personal investigation on Peter Obi's administration, I knew it was somewhat hard for him. It was a challenging task, let me not say hard. So how was he able to raise money apart from the normal money they go to Abuja and collect at the end of every month to share? How was he able to raise money for Anambra to, in terms of generating revenue? And my second question, you said when you started speaking, you said you spent 6 years out of 8 years with Peter Obi, and as you said, it's also long. Anybody that experienced 6/8 has experienced the whole thing. So how would you say Peter Obi will deal with our debt situation right when he becomes president next year? In the first 4 years, how do you think he will tackle it? I'm sure he has done it in Anambra. And how do you think he will do it, repeat the same in Nigeria? What will he do better? That's the question. What will he do better than what the rest have been doing, that they've been doing for the past 20 years, that they've been failing at it woefully? What do you think he would
Okay,
do
let me
better?
start.
Thank you, sir.
Let me start with how P2B will handle Nigeria's debt. You know what has put us in what we are today? It is concentrating on consumption. This country does not produce anything, so you cannot raise money. So you depend on death to achieve the things you want to achieve. He has said it repeatedly that you have to move away from consumption to production. When you go into production, then you can raise money, because that way, both in agri, in manufacturing, industrialization, you'll be able to push the country beyond the threshold where it will going to rely wholly on debt to be able to achieve anything, including developing infrastructure. So he has said it a number of times that this is the only way you can get out of it. Okay? Because there is nothing wrong with borrowing, but there is something wrong, and everything is wrong with borrowing for consumption. Today, the biggest debt country in the world is America. But America is also one of the most developed countries of the world. Why? Because they are borrowing for production. They are borrowing usefully. They are not borrowing for waste. That is it. Then, in the case of um, debt we met, like I said, it's about 10 years I left the administration, and I cannot be keeping the state records in my coffers. But whatever little debt we met was cleared by P2B. But most of these debts were concentrated in pensioners, contractors being owed, and so on and so forth. When Peter came, first of all, there was no project the previous administration handled that couldn't be concluded that P2B didn't finish. He finished all of them, went into his own, did what he did, and raised money from actually three major sources. One is the Federation account. That is where everybody goes to get his own money. But what you do with it is what matters, not even how much you got. Because Anambra State happens to be one of the states that gets the least funds from the Federation account. But what you do with it is actually what matters. Then internally generated revenue. You get to some places where all manner of people will be cutting away money that's supposed to come into the state covers into their private pockets and running helter-skelter here and there. Of course, P2B will not allow that. So we made sure that the much we could get from internally generated revenue was made available. The one coming from Federation account was made available. Then raising money also from international agencies, World Bank, and so on and so forth, which Professor Kunna, under Ministry of Economic Planning and Development, handled. So that way, and with Millennium Development Goal, we're able to achieve quite a lot. And again, one of his key attributes being prudence, frugality, contributed. In some states, I don't mean to be specific with any state, security fund, which state governors take. In some states, it's sometimes more than 50% of the state monthly allocation from the Federation account. But I've never seen that before because I've tried to make inquiries, even while we're in government. P2B happens to be the only governor that has taken the least amount of money as security, what was it called? Security fee, to be able to take care of security issues in the state. And I don't think any governor did more than he did in terms of security, because the number of vehicles running into hundreds that were made available to the police, to the military, to civil defense. I mean, you'll be wondering, where is he really getting this money from? But all we are coming from the various sources of revenue in the state. So it is not really how much that was made available to you, but what use do you put them to? And at the end of the day, the one you left behind to protect the future of the state and the future of our children.
Thank you very much, sir. I mean, listening to you talk, I don't know. Is it only me, or is it just me, or when Chief Eze speaks, you hear a little bit of Peter Obi in him? Has Peter Obi rubbed off on? I mean, every one of them come here and then they just keep talking like Mr. Peter Obi. Well, that's what I see. I don't know about you guys, but Daddy, thank you so much for being here. Just taking a little breath, I just want to remind us that we're talking to the ex financial commissioner or finance commissioner of Anambra State for 6 years when Mr. Peter Obi was governor of Anambra State. His name is Chief Eze. Thank you, sir, for being here. Really appreciate you. Thank you all for being here also. Uncle Guillermo, I see you. Thank you very much. Same card, just to appreciate some people here. No, I mean, I can't mention anybody, but I mean, Osemo, I see you. William, I see you. Thank you, Dolako. Thank you, Shiloh and Grace Johnson. So moving ahead, Anambra first on Jack and Kim. I see you guys. Chigoze, Thank you for being here. All right. It's Uncle Akin. Definitely, you're up there. Thank you very much. Okay, let's take Mr. Activist Law. How are you, Activist Law?
Yeah, good evening. Thank
Okay,
you.
Activist Law, you are going to hold on.
Okay.
Just mute your mic. Thank you. You see, we're obedient. Okay, let's take a lady because my principal, Peter Obi, likes an inclusive government. So mine also will be inclusive here. We're going to take a lady. Lamine, how are you?
Hi, Bishop. Good evening. I'm fine.
It's been a while. Where have you been?
I'm hustling for voters for Peter Obi.
We will do
Hi,
that
Fel.
together after the space. Okay, go
Hi,
ahead. You have
Aki.
the space.
Okay. Good evening, sir, and thank you for being here. My question is kind of personal. I just like to prick your brain to have an idea of how you handle your differences with my principal Peter Obi. I know you were the finance commissioner, so likely I know you have your differences being the lifeline of the state. He's a prudent person, so I'd like to know how you handled your differences, being that he's a very prudent man. So how did it affect you? Does he insist on having his way, or do you have a way of coming to a common ground in running the costs and finances of the state and maybe budget and all of that? Thank you.
Hello.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now? Because I was an interruption, a call, so I had to knock it off.
Okay, sir, did you hear her question or should she request it again?
You say, how was I able to handle the differences between Peter Obi and I?
Yes, I said as the finance commissioner of the state, and you were like the lifeline of the state when it comes to finance. So how did you handle your differences when it comes to budget, i.e., budget cost of running the government and all of that? Because we know my principal to be a very prudent person. So does he insist on having his way? Do you have a common ground of settling differences and all of that?
Okay, that's an interesting question. Incidentally, we belong to the same school of prudence, but we are not just the only people in government. We have other commissioners, other special advisors, and people who handle issues of expenditure in their various ministries. There is one thing, and I think I've had him say it during his engagements with obedience. Let me use that. If you come to executive council meeting, because that's where we trash out issues, that's where we debate expenditures, debate approvals, and all kinds of things. If you come there and you keep quiet 2 or 3 times, he will ask you to resign. Why? Because he doesn't need people who cannot make serious contribution to decision making. And where do we make these decisions? In the executive council. So when projects are reviewed and brought through tenders board, it's not even enough. It doesn't end there. It is brought to the to the state executive council for further debates and discussions. And at the end of the day, of course, as a prudent person, he will insist that things be done in such a way that money could be saved. But some other people say, no, this will not be a number. And at the end of the day, we come to a common ground. So there's nothing like having differences. Yes, we may have some differences, but at the end of the day, there was room. There was enough room for people to ventilate their ideas, whatever differences, whatever different ideas you think you have. There was always a room for that in the executive council, and people were enjoying it because he's not the kind of person that will restrain you not to talk. If you talk, I will sack you. No, there's nothing like that. As a matter of fact, if you don't talk for a while, you'll be called upon. What's happening? Why are you keeping quiet? Why are you not contributing to this debate? So we didn't have much differences as a person because I belong to that school of prudence and good governance. And quite a good number of us also belong to that school. But that was not to say that we didn't engage in debates that at the end of the day, give and take, we arrive at a decision that will be in the best interest of the state and good governance.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that brilliant answer. Lami, you're clapping, and that really resonates with me. And it goes further to prove that you really got your question answered there. I mean, when you're in the class and then you clap, it's a sign that the lecturer has communicated to you in a language that you can understand. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you. So I want to say something. Peter Obi has women who support them. I want to tell everyone here, powerful women. Jack was saying the other day in a space, he said, Peter Obi has brilliant and wonderful women. And I can list at least 3 to 4 people I know are brilliant and wonderful women who support Peter Obi. Just on a lighter note, I can list Miss Pearls. I can list Osemo, I can list Grace Johnson, and then another person who has been pushing this work, carrying Peter Obi matter on her head and fighting with people, dragging the vote with all her energy is the uh, wonderful Prisma. Prisma, thank you for all you do. I mean, daily I converse with you, and your work rate is like that of N'Golo Kante that plays for Chelsea. I mean, I would have equated to that of Peter Obi, but you know, he is my principal and no one can be equated to him. Thank you very much, Prisma, for all you do. You're really appreciated. Thank you very much. Let's go to Mr. Activist now. Mr. Activist, thank you. Thank you for waiting. It's your turn. Go ahead. Go ahead and speak.
Our local. Yeah, good evening. How is everybody? Honorable Commissioner, thank you so much for finding time for the privilege of being around. Anyway, my
Yeah.
question goes as there was somebody told me something. I don't know how true it is. I tried to look at it from the internet. He said that some medical practitioners or people within the hospital were on lockdown for 13 months. I don't know how true that is. I wish you to help me to validate it, whether it was true that they were home for 13 months or not. And,
Under
and
P2B.
under P2B's administration, with that you served under. So, and secondly, what can you say were his weaknesses as a leader? Because every one of us has our strength and our weaknesses. So I want to know those things that you have identified working with him for like 6-7 years, able to have 1 or 2 ideas, sir. Thank you.
One major weakness I know he has is that he's very stubborn, but he could be stubborn for good reasons, and that also, brings up this issue of good governance. When he insists on it, he's very stubborn with it, and people could say that is a weakness because why can't you at least give in a little bit? So, but I know that at the end of the day, he plays out well. He plays out better for the interest of the state. Okay, because he's not doing it for his private pocket. That's one key thing that I know. But from the lockdown for medical practitioners, that is unheard of. For 13 months,
yes,
there could have been. I can't remember specifically. Maybe there was some misunderstanding, but I know that every one of those kinds of misunderstanding that came up were promptly dealt with and treated accordingly. Not something that will be allowed to fester for upwards of months, talk less of 13, 14 months. I don't think so. I'm sure if anybody could tell me specifically anyone that happened at a particular time, I'll tell you how it was handled. But I can't really remember everything right now. But that was not the policy of the administration at that time. We were bent on ensuring that all professional associations were duly and well taken care of so that they could do their jobs and contribute, to the development of the state.
Thank you so much, sir. 13 months is quite too long not to notice, but thank you so much.
Mr. Activist, me and you will fight if you try to ask that question again.
No, I'm not saying that question. I'm done with
this. Okay, God bless you, my brother. God bless you. And if there was any strike that happened in Anambra State, it happened before my principal Peter Obi came into power. And then when he came in, he handled it and he tackled it and then he settled it amicably. At least we know that when he left, everyone was happy. So thank you very much for that question. I want to make a special shout out to someone who is very special to me, special to my heart, and very, very, I mean, supporting the movement. I want to make a special shout out to Shiloh. And thank you, sir, for all you do. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. Engineer Shaibu, I see you. If you like, cover yourself with face mask. I see you. All right, moving ahead. Green Pasture Ballet, how are you doing?
Hello, good evening, Bishop. Good evening to everybody, Pels and Easy. We thank you so much for all the great revelation you've been bringing out to the space. It's so amazing to have somebody like you who has worked directly with Peter Obi. We are very, very, very passionate, diehard Obi fans right here. So when you see Bishop talk about his team, make you know, say now in first 300 be that. So it's a great time. I want to talk about straight up to education. I was like, I know Peter Obi is big on education. We've seen what Boko Haram did with saying Boko is haram, which means education is sin. We've seen what insecurity has also contributed to further making sure that a lot of people are not going to school. So going to school, imagine somebody preaching to you an ideology that education is sin, is like committing a sin to God and to, you know how the North is with religion. And they believe it because it's fear and it's terror to them. So I don't really know. You've worked very closely with Peter Obi. Is there any insight you can give to us? We've seen how Jonathan failed even after he built Al-Majiri schools in the north. What leaders from them? I was born in the north. I was born in Kaduna. The first political party I joined was in Al Mustafa's house in Maitama in Abuja. Please, we want to know what is it that Peter Obi is going to bring to the table. You have worked with him. Do you see him as somebody that is going to bring drastic change in the educational system in Nigeria? We've seen what ASU has been for the past 15 years. It's been terrible. People have had to carry over the years, spending longer time in schools. At the end of the day, but when they graduate, they have no jobs. Peter Obi has been talking about consumption to production. Please share more light to us. Let's see and know that I am convinced about what he's going to do. Please, I yield the mic. Just share more light on that, on these areas I've spoken about. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. You know, when they eventually are you hearing me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. When the manifestos of these political parties, specifically Labour Party, comes out, I think we will see what strategy will be put in place to deal with various sectors of the Nigerian economy. All I can say now is that P2P did it in Anambra State. There is no reason why he can't do it in the country, because Anambra State is simply a microcosm of the larger entity. So there's no reason why you can't do that. First of all, is to have an understanding and belief that education is the key to economic progress. It's a major key. Once you believe that, then every other thing will fall in place. In Anambra State, we knew where we were as a state in terms of education, like WAEC, university systems, and so on, even jams. But with the education, for example, when computer education was introduced into secondary schools in Anambra State, we made sure we just create. Sometimes I said he has a weakness, that is stubbornness, and insists on doing a particular thing a particular way. For example, we created computer classrooms. We didn't have computer professionals to teach the students and handle those computer laboratories. Actually, at that time, we called them computer laboratories. So P2B's concept was put the computers there, put the printers there, put the CPUs there, leave the children to go there and figure them out. Man, it was like magic. We thought he was saying something that was like Greek to us. How can you prepare a computer laboratory, put all the computers there, put chairs, put everything, and then leave the students to go there and figure it out? I tried that in my house and it worked like magic, even in my own personal house. I never had a computer lecturer come to the house to teach my children. I just got the computer, put it there. Everybody go there and learn how to use computer. And before you know it, they were all wizards with the system. And Anambra State schools became, in fact, internationally, I think there was one competition. I can't remember exactly the name of that competition that had to do with computer science. Anambra came first in that. So it's a matter of focus. What do I want to achieve? Can you imagine in a country like this, you say history will not be a part of the syllabus? Where we go, how can people come? People are born into a country, they don't know where their country started and where it's going. Okay? What kind of education curricula is that? However, like I said, he's done it before. He did it in Anambra State, and I believe he will do it in Nigeria. Same goes for health, same goes for infrastructure. Because like I said, it's a matter of focus and what you believe in. Earlier I had said the way he worked on education. At the risk of repeating myself, we said education, secondary schools in Anambra State, let me be specific, with secondary schools in Anambra State were taken over by the government. And this continued for quite a long time, and I don't need to restate it, that most of the secondary schools, even primary schools, went down the drains as a result, because there was no funding, there was no management, there was nothing until P2B came to Anambra State. And I'm sure some states may have emulated him and decided that schools will have to go back to their original owners, the missions and so on, or individuals if they own schools, and associations that own schools. Not only that, these schools were handed over back to their original owners, but they were funded by government, that initial stage, to take off. And today, I guess it's as good as mine, what the education sector is like today in Anambra State. Same will happen in Nigeria if he's given the opportunity of ruling this country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm from the north, and Green Pasture Bale, who just asked that question, is for the north. I just want to let you know, sir, that there's a lot of northerners that is backing Peter. We are backing Peter Obi for president. I know 2023 February, Peter Obi will be announced president of Nigeria, and then we'll go back to the winning ways of this country. Thank you very much. Let me take Muna Madwago Unzobu
Bishop Amadala. His mother was
He has missed your name.
Good evening, girls. Good evening, Magnific. Good evening, Bishop. It's nice to be here again. And I'll be asking two questions. One is a question about the government, and one is a question that is personal to you, sir. We are proud of you, sir. The first question I'll ask is: there is an allegation towards the P2B government, and I'll try to read out where I saw this thing from. It's from Sahara Reporters, and they said, and let me read out the headline. They said, Anambra City's petitions EFCC over P2B stealing of state funds. The thing goes on like that: 250 million naira involving P2B's contractor, Mr. AGK, that he was caught with the money at Aerodrome in Lagos State. That's the first thing I would like you to address, sir.
either to debunk it or explain to us whatever happened. Then secondly, sir, you said you are part of Ibeto Group now, and I'm very, very happy that I just saw somebody from that place now. Is there any plan that I know he's not part of the discussion, but is there any plan that you guys have of going back into cement production? Those are my two questions. Thank you, sir.
Okay, let me start with the cement. Yes, there is a plan. It's ongoing to go into cement production. Initially, it was importation of bulk cement and bagging and selling. Now it's going into actual production. The reason it was delayed considerably was because the former governor of Ebonyi State, Elechi, Chief Martin Elechi, did not allow the company to implement their program of local cement manufacturing in Nigeria, because that was where the company bought over, the former Nigerian Cement Company PLC in Calago, where you have substantial deposit of limestone. Cement is not something you position anywhere. You have to position it near the source of raw material, which is limestone. Okay, so there is a plan. I'm sure that answers that question. Now, secondly, on taking state's money. Now, this was, yes, an allegation, but I can tell you that the details are there. That's why sometimes when certain things are said, I say, go and verify. This matter was investigated. I think it had to do with the financing of local government, some local government projects and purchases. Okay. EFCC looked into this when people brought up such allegation. They looked into it, dropped. Nigerian police looked into it, dropped. And what of these agencies investigated the story, and they were all satisfied with what they saw. I don't know what else anybody wants me to say. I mean, if these bodies that are responsible for dealing with issues of this nature have looked into such an allegation and passed it, I don't know what else you want me to say.
Sir. Okay, thank you, sir. Bishop, no vex, I beg, because I forgot to cut out this part. Because this, no, I'm not asking any.
No worry. I know you don't want to ask for it. I mean, whatever you want to say, DM me to tell Daddy. Let us take another person, because if someone else has taken time, you wouldn't have gotten the time to speak. Thank you very much. Ebuka, how are you? Ebuka, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear. So after Ebuka, will take Noble. After Noble, will take Wusa. All right, and Ebuka, go ahead.
Yeah, Bishop, you asked me how I am. I'm not fine. They sacked my coach today, but no problem.
Nah, but we move. Let's go.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Easy. I have been waiting for this moment, and you've answered most of the questions I wanted to ask. But I want to ask, was there any time that you had to spend money that was not budgeted for? Like, let's say, I'm not sure, or permit me, like, if this first class money that he gave to 160 people, this 1 million naira, if it was in the budget, like, how did you guys how were you guys able to do it? Was it like a special funds for this kind of thing or stuff like that? And secondly, in getting contracts, how did you guys organize this? Like, because I heard from one of the commissioners where he had to cut down prices. You bring it, cut it down, you remove 10,000 from here, 5,000 from here. Like, how was it really done?
I'm not too sure I understand your question very well, but on the whether to get approvals from the legislature, of course, yes, because everything you spend has been appropriated duly by the legislature. That's one. They were budgeted for, and it's common knowledge everywhere that if you have some certain kinds of desirable expenditure to undergo, even if they're not in the budget, you go for extra budgetary approval. And it's allowed everywhere in the budget, including the financial, both state and federal financial instructions. So there is nothing like spending money that was not budgeted for. You can be sure that if P2P spent money that was not budgeted for, he would have been impeached even the second time. So there's nothing like that. Everything that was done in accordance with the rules of the game. If you have to spend something that is indeed necessary, but was not provided for in the budget, an extra budgetary expenditure, it's forwarded, and the legislature will debate and approve. If they don't want to approve, they return, or they return with modification. So that's how you get to do that. So we don't indulge in spending money that's not in the budget, was not approved, or was not properly appropriated. We don't do that. The other question, I didn't quite get it. Can you clarify me on that other question?
Yeah. What I was trying to say was that there was a commissioner that came, I think commissioner for law or something, Njenje or something, that came and said that if you were to drop like a proposal or a tender, like if this is what you want to do or stuff like that, that he always tries as much as possible to cut down on some things. You will take his.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. When we cut those things, you don't cut them for cutting sake. You see a loaf of bread that is sold for 600 naira, and you bring it, and you tell us that it is sold for 1,500. Of course, we investigate. We do. The State Tenders Board investigates even claims on tenders, and we cut them if we believe the company has what it takes to do that, and amongst or in comparison with other tenderers, that he can do the job. We, based on our investigation of what the actual cost of this thing should actually be, then it can be cut down to a situation where you can still achieve that, but with minimal profit and not bogus profit. That's the whole essence of cutting down. Because everybody wants to get as much you can get when he tenders for a job. But at the end of the day, we're sure you don't use your money to do that. Of course, nobody wants to use his money to build or work for state government. But at the same time, we don't want the state government to fritter its money away, all in the course of trying to do something for the state. So we ensure that the right things are done. And if we believe you've gone above, well above board, then we'll bring it down to what we think is the, even when you have won the tender by means of the lowest tender, not just the lowest tender, but more professional tender.
Thank you very much, sir. Ibuka, I know Daddy has answered your questions very well. I want to say so sorry for the sacking of your coach, but I mean, all things are okay. All right, let's go for that. But before we go, I want to do something. Please, guys, I want you to look at, if you have a mirror around you, just look at that mirror. The person facing that mirror is making this movement happen today. That person facing that mirror is the structure of Mr. Peter Obi. The person you are seeing in that mirror is a hero. That person is a star. That person is running for president. I want you now to go to your emojis and then clap for that person. Clap for that person yourself. Clap for yourself. If you don't like yourself, I don't know who will like you. Please clap for your own self. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. God bless you all. God bless you for making this happen. Now, another thing, I want us to follow Chief Eze. Please follow Chief Eze because he is new to Twitter, I think. And then, I mean, when he puts out a tweet, you'll be the first person to see. Follow the host, follow the co-host. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And let us move on now. Noble, are you there, Noble?
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Noble. How are you?
Okay, I'm fine, and how are you?
Well, I'm buzzing. Go ahead.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Good evening, Mr. Eze.
Yeah,
Okay,
good evening. Good
Okay, I
evening. Thank you.
appreciate and the host and speaker. I happen to be, I was once a student in Anambra State, especially during the time of Peter Obi, and I can attest to his good works. Okay, my question goes this way. You know, currently Nigeria runs a system whereby everything is being approved from the center. And Peter Obi is talking about insecurity, and I know he tackled the insecurity situation in Anambra State very well. How did he do it, and how will he do same when voted to be the president of Nigeria next year? That's my question. He's talking about insecurity, and I know he tackled the insecurity situation in Anambra State very well. How did he do it, and how will he do same when voted to be the
Okay. Thank you for the question. But before I answer this question, I want to appeal, that after this question, I may have to stop because I have another meeting I'm supposed to join in the next 5 to 6 minutes. Because I said I would give this interview a shot for 1 hour, but in the next 5 to 6 minutes, it'll be 2 hours. So I guess and I hope you will permit me to go join that other meeting because this is just a starting point. This is my first shot actually on Twitter. I believe that we have a long way to go on this. I may have to look for an opportunity to engage this audience, this beautiful audience, for 3, 4, 5 hours if you can hold on to. But for today that I'm starting, I just had 1 hour, but incidentally, I had to stretch it out. That's why I'm having interruptions for another 5, 6 minutes. Thank you. About P2B being able to tackle security and how he was able to do it in Anambra State. I keep saying that you don't have to start doing anything from the larger perspective, okay? Or you do something in Nigeria, the level of the federal government, and somebody wants to know whether you can do it at the state level. If you're able to articulate and implement a program successfully at the state level, you can replicate that at the federal level. Because all it takes is the belief and focus that this is what I want to do. And of course, you would have articulated the strategies for its implementation. In Anambra State, at the point, Anambra State became, a hotspot for insecurity amongst the Committee of States in Nigeria. But P2P will not go and carry, or the commissioners with him, go and carry guns and knives to go and face insecurity, kidnappers, and so on and so forth. No. But what he did was to engage the security operatives from the point of view of civil defense, the military, the police, giving them tools and engaging them almost like on a weekly basis. The Security Council meeting that was taking place on a monthly, I think it was on a weekly basis, and providing what it takes to make them effective. There's also no other magic. It's not cast in concrete. So by doing that at the state level and succeeding, I believe you will be able to replicate that at the federal level and you will also succeed. Today in Nigeria, I'm sure that this security issue can be effectively tackled if a focused leader takes on the mantle. Because with what we have, we can't go out of the security operatives to be able to achieve this. We cannot go out of it. So, but it takes the action of a focused and well-determined person to handle it and achieve success in the security situation in this country. I believe that he has his own strategy, which may not be made public because it's a security issue. But at the fullness of time, I'm sure whatever strategies that have been put in place for the purpose of tackling security in Nigeria will be brought to bear.
Thank you very much, sir. Really grateful. I don't know if you have time for one more question or this will be your last one. I don't know.
Yes, let me take one more question, and then I will appeal to you to please allow me, so that
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. No problem. Let's take Usa.
Thank you very much, Bishop. Thank you, Chief Eze.
Thank
My
you.
question briefly, because of time, my question briefly has to do with successor. I'm a Lagosian by origin, and I've been privileged to be in Anambra, and then I can attest to some of all these things that you're saying. But then, the only issue that I think he failed to get right has to do with what I would consider as successor. Although I don't think you might be in the best position to give a fullest answer to that now, because he is the one that should. But then I want to believe from your own experience in working with him, you might be in position to say a thing or the other. For instance, the succession issue that now gave birth to the last governor, eventually led to a lot of mess. And in fact, I was in Anambra in June, and I got a lot of feelers that shows that what he left behind eventually was squandered by Obiano, and at the end of the day, it shows that the succession plan didn't produce what we call a continuity in governance in Anambra State. I don't know, coming on board now as president, how we can make sure he gets the best delivered by himself, and then having a succession plan that, because the fact is that Nigeria is in a mess now, and it will take beyond even 16 years to get it to what we really desired. So I don't know if you can say a thing or the other in that line, so briefly, before you go, a succession arrangement that can make sure there's a sustainability for 20 years and like that, so that we won't have to come back again to level zero. Like although Soludo is trying now, but then Obiano really messed a lot of things up. Thank you very much.
Okay, it will really take a magician to to determine the kind of successor that you have, going back 16 years, 10 years or so on after you've left office. It will really take a magician. But I think setting the right tone from the beginning is what is important. If today we're able to have someone like Peter Obi assume the mantle of leadership in Nigeria and set the right tones, which we believe he will be able to do, and it will take more than 8 years to achieve that. But if he says the right tone, people will see, because Nigerians are really tired. Both Nigerians in Nigeria and Nigerians in diaspora. Everybody is really tired of all these shenanigans happening all the time. They want things done properly. Peter Obi left Anambra State coffers with a lot of money. Okay, some people may not agree, but I know that it's verifiable. Okay, and Professor Soludo tells us that he inherited over 100 billion debt, and it's probably going to take a little more to be able to achieve some measure of success. Nobody knows how his own will play out, but we believe from his programs that it will play out well. Like I said, I don't want to be a soothsayer that will tell you what will happen in the next 10 years after I've left office. But I believe that if the right tone is set, and with the kind of feelings that Nigerians have today, begins to get sustained, then I think we're in for some goodies. I believe P2B will set the right tone if he's given the opportunity. And setting the right tone, Nigerians will like to follow. And once Nigerians follow and things begin to go right, it will be difficult for anybody to come and begin to take things back. I believe that person will be stopped by good-spirited Nigerians.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. It's been a blessed time with you. I'll give it to my host now, Pels, so she can take over from here. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, I just want to say very big thank you to you, Sir Chief SHAC, for coming to space with us today. You could have been anywhere spending your very precious time, but you chose to come here to spend it with us. We really, really appreciate you, sir. We know how very busy you are, so we are not taking your time with us here for granted. Thank you so very much, sir. And like you said, we will schedule another space where you could come to have more time to answer more questions. Sir
I'll be glad.
Akinwolaye, do you have any last words for him?
No, I just want to thank him. Hopefully, we'd love to hear more. I think, for many of you from from his administration, you have your accomplishments, the records are there, but I think simply referring people to the records would not be enough, because I think your position is going to play dirty. They're going to throw mud, and I think we need to be as proactive and as aggressive as possible. So I think for us, we would love, if you can always honor an invitation where, these issues start coming up as propaganda as we go into the election cycle. Make no mistake, they want to play dirty. And I think for all the great work, for the records and the accomplishments, we just have to, again, push back fiercely. And I really appreciate you taking time. If there are things, that we can find access to in terms of, records in the archives that maybe may not be in the public domain, but are somewhat accessible, I think it will be a great service to many of us and the candidate if this can be done. Equally, I think there's going to be this new narrative or push asking for evidence of, things that were projects that were completed. I'm hoping some of you in this administration, from that administration, would put up some type of records archives online, maybe a website, publish pictures, show, images of commissioning, because we need a lot of that to really push back on many of the criticisms. But thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you so very much, Sir Akin, for appreciating him for it. So, I don't know, we still have a couple of people here who wanted to ask questions or make submissions. I don't know if you all still want to maybe continue with the conversation. I'll just pass the mic over to Bishop. I don't know if maybe we should just adjourn the space till when we have him again, or we continue a little bit more with the conversation. Bishop, over to you. What do you think?